Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, wherever it may be. Welcome to tonight's March edition of the Clown Hour podcast. We're going to have a lot of things to get into tonight. We're going to get into J.J. Watt's surprising signing with the Arizona Cardinals. So much for one to win, right? We're also going to get into some NBA. Now, we're approaching the All-Star break. We're going to cover some surprises, some disappointments, and whatnot. So it should be fun there. We're also going to touch upon Creighton University's men's basketball coach, Greg McDermott's controversial comments regarding what he said to his team after a tough loss at Xavier. And last but not least, we're going to kick off Women's History Month. And so we're going to celebrate all women's achievements for the month of March. It is not going to be the ones that you know, like Billie Jean King, Martina Navratilova, and so forth. We're going, similar to Black History Month, we're going to cover and talk about little known women who made some awesome contributions in the world of sports. So once again, we're going to do this throughout the month of March. I hope you find it entertaining and educational. So until then, one more thing, please subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it, and you appreciate it too. So until then, let's get it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, wherever you may be. Welcome to tonight's edition, March edition, of the Clown Hour podcast. First of all, before I go into it, check out my co-host here, D Nash, Dwayne Nash, on the yards at HBCU Sports, reps about all things HBCU Sports, as well as Sleazy Radio on Facebook Live every Tuesday night with his crew. They're hilarious. Please check them out, as well as his good work on herosports.com, where he raps about FCS athletics as it pertains to HBCUs. As for your boy here, please check out my sports blog called The Klown Times. It's Klown spelled with K at www.theklowntimes.net. And that's on Facebook as well, whether on your smartphone, desktop, laptop, excuse me. Let's go to the search window, type in The Klown Times. You'll find me after the fool there. That's a few interesting posts on J.J. Watt this week you should check out. And last but not least, two things. Please subscribe to the channel. Just click on the subscribe button below. I would appreciate it. D would appreciate it, and you would appreciate it too, believe it or not. And last but not least, and really last for real, I don't have it on me, but get the merch. I'm pointing to my Edge of Imaginary hat. I don't have it on. You see my bald ass head tonight. But anyway, go to cafepress.com, search for the Clown Time Sports. The address will be in the description below, and you will find it there as well. So we're going to have a lot to get into tonight. We're going to start off with some NFL. With a little bit of shocker, J.J. Watt, remember when he was rapping about wanting to go somewhere where he could win after the Texans mercifully let him go out of his contract so he could go somewhere more stable, more functional? You would think that he would go to his hometown Packers. He's a Wisconsin kid. You think he would want to ball with his brother in Pittsburgh. You think he would, like Cleveland Browns apparently were high on his radar. So those are three teams that will give him a chance to win, right? Where does he go? The Arizona Cardinals. Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? So basically, he got a 2-year contract with the Arizona Cardinals, rather. The year's worth, the deal is worth $31 million according to Adam Schefter, which includes $23 million guaranteed. Now look, I'm not mad at old boy for wanting to get paid. I'm not mad at him for wanting to secure the bag and get one last payday before his career is over. I think he's a Hall of Famer, by the way. But anyway, if you go to the Cardinals, if you want to win, are you serious? So you're picking, essentially he's picking, what's his name? Kyler Murray. I know that they also have DeAndre Hopkins. He's a stud. He's balling out.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. And I get that there's Chandler Jones on the other side of him on defense, another pass rusher. I get that too. I mean, Buda Baker is a stud in the defensive backfield. I get all of that. But he's going to a division where you have Seattle Seahawks. No matter what the turmoil is going on in Seattle, they're still the Seahawks as long as Russell Wilson's still there. You got the LA Rams who improved to me at the quarterback position with the acquisition of Matthew Stafford. You have the 49ers who are getting healthy. You know, I know people are bagging on Jimmy Garoppolo, but hell, they've had a winning record lopsided way with Jimmy in the lineup. He just can't stay healthy. So they're getting all those people back. Remember, because they lost Joey Bosa last year as well. And Richard Sherman was out for a while. They're getting a lot of these cats back. So they're going to be better.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so you're going to a division where when you had a chance to ball with Aaron Rodgers, and perhaps was Big Ben Roethlisberger's last year in Pittsburgh, or in the NFL for that matter, or with more talented squad in Cleveland from the offensive standpoint with Baker Mayfield and company, he's going to go to, I'm blanking on the kid's name already, Kyler Murray. He's going to go to Kyler Murray and to a tough division as the NFC West. So was this, I don't want to seem harsh, D, but to me, dude is fraudulent. He said he wanted to go win, but instead he wanted to get paid. So what are your thoughts on that? Am I being too harsh? What's up?
Well, it's not to say that he can't or won't win in Arizona, because he can. It's a very competitive division, right?
Sure, right. Sure can. And they don't suck. They don't suck. And they don't suck, by the way.
No, there's not going to be any easy wins in that division.
Correct.
And hasn't been really for a while there. If you think about it, there has been at least 2 good teams in that division with a third budgeting, right?
Correct.
Now it's all 4.
Right.
And now all 4 are going to be a problem. And once again, it's not to say that they're not going to make the playoffs. What were they last year? They were 9-7?
They were 8-8. Yeah.
So they were a
not
game
bad.
or 2. Yeah, 8-8, not bad. Second year in this offense for Kyler Murray.
Correct.
So he's still learning this offense.
Right.
The defense, of course, is still getting it together as well with this addition of J.J. Watt. If he can stay healthy, will, of course, be a boost.
Right.
So he's going to be there with his old buddy, DeAndre Hopkins, who probably was the liaison in that situation, and guiding him to come to Arizona, right?
Right.
Plus, if memory serves me, there's no state tax in the state of Arizona. I could be wrong about that, but either way, he doesn't have to deal with weather because he's going to be in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to say that Arizona is necessarily worse than other situations that were talked about.
Mm-hmm.
It won't be as easy probably as those other situations. And if there's a high possibility that you're right, that he could be chasing the money. That could have been the best deal that he was going to get in terms of a 2-year, but with incentives makes it 31, but you're basically looking at 2-year, 23, if he probably doesn't stay healthy his first year, right?
Correct.
So, 15, 16 per? If it's happiness, it's the money.
Yeah.
It's a place where he could be able to compete, at least for a division championship, if not a wild card there in Arizona. So it's not like he went to the Detroit Lions when everybody's really scratching their heads. And I hate to use the Detroit Lions as a punching bag, but I don't want to use my Washington football team as one in this moment.
Detroit Lions fans would agree with you, actually. So don't.
Yeah. See, so there you go. Or it's not like it's not like he went to Detroit, Cincinnati,
right?
Who else? Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
He went to Arizona. A team that, if they can get it together, could be extremely dangerous. Now they have to figure out what's going to happen with seldom used but soon to be first ballot Hall of Famer Larry Fitzgerald on the offensive side of the ball, and if they can get a little bit more talent on the defensive side as well. But maybe that addition of J.J. Watt, if he can stay healthy, opposite of Chandler, can make that defense that much more formidable, right? So we really don't know. And then, as we always know, every year there seems to be about 2 teams per conference that makes the playoffs that didn't make the playoffs.
There's always surprises, right? Always surprises. Every single year, there always surprises.
So, this could be that year that Arizona could be that surprise, right?
Right.
Because once again, we don't know what Seattle's going to be. Mm-hmm. Even though I kind of scratched my head I know they kind of leaned a little bit more on the firing of their former offensive coordinator, the son of one Marty Schottenheimer. And who did they bring in? I thought it was Adam Gase or something like that. I could be wrong.
They're thinking about bringing him in. I don't know if it's official yet. But
yeah,
they think about bringing him in, which is like, I mean, again, this dude continues to fail upward.
exactly right.
How? How is he getting these jobs?
If he wasn't the guy that they brought in, I don't. It's going to be very interesting to see what Seattle does, right?
Yeah.
We've already saw what the Rams have done in the addition of Matthew Stafford. We don't know necessarily how that's going to work out. Sure. Everyone believes it's going to be positive. It could be negative. Too. We don't know, right?
That's true. That's
and then San Fran, you know, we like we said before, you know, there are a lot of guys that they'll be getting back that they dealt with injury, but that could be a situation that doesn't necessarily pan out too well for them. Where they could maybe if they even win 2 more games more than what they won this past season, they're still 8-8.
Right, correct.
So, but it's still going to be a division that they're going to have to battle in. So, it's not. Arizona is like I said before, is not a situation where it's barren of an opportunity. He's going to have one. It's just whether it's just depending on how fast this team can show that they can compete within this division first and foremost.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, you're right. You're technically right. I mean, I don't have to be for what you said. And again, I'm not mad at him taking the money. God bless him. If some teams want to give you $23 million guaranteed, you take the hell out of it. You sign that dotted, get your name on the dotted line, quickly. Fast, in a hurry. I'm not mad at him about that. I'm just saying, dude said he wants to win. Now, if it's true, now there were reports coming out that the Cardinals were essentially negotiating against themselves, because I don't think many teams want to give him that second year, which is probably why he ended up in Arizona. Which again, I'm not mad at him about that. And you alluded to it earlier. I'm not mad about that. To me, if it's about winning, dude's made a lot of money on the field, off the field with Subway commercials that he has going on. He's cool. He has generational wealth in spades. I just think, spending those years in purgatory as the Houston Texans organization, especially again, I don't know. I don't know for sure. I'm not for certain on this, but reports had it that Green Bay was interested, Cleveland was interested, Pittsburgh was interested. Those are 3 places where he can win quickly.
Yeah.
Even with the certainty that's going on in Pittsburgh, I mean, they never had a losing season under Mike Tomlin. You know what I'm saying? So, and plus you have the prospect of going back home to ball with Aaron Rodgers, who's still 36 years old or 37 years old, he's still balling out of control.
Yes.
Right? In a division like the NFC North, that's the chance. That's his shot. That's his shot. That's a division title. They could moonwalk to a division title the way the division stands right now.
Yeah, Minnesota's in flux. We don't know what they're going to end up doing this upcoming season. Yeah. The Bears are still questionable, even though they had a decent turnaround, but they had issues staying healthy, and they also have issues at quarterback, which is still unresolved.
Yes, very much so.
Detroit is Detroit.
Right. Enough said.
Enough said. Detroit is Detroit. So, I mean, they're still new. And with the moves that they made in terms of picking up Jared Goff with that deal, they seem to be in rebuilding mode. So, you would think it would have been an easier path, but once again, maybe he wanted the stability of playing a second year. Well, not even, I shouldn't even say stability. Maybe he wanted the option of playing a second year.
Right.
And that's the thing, you know, if everyone was probably just looking to give him a 1-year deal, especially based on his recent health history, even though I think this year may have been his best year in the past 4 or 5 years in terms of him and his health. Maybe he just really wants to continue to play. And he didn't want to have to deal with this entire process for a second year. So, to your point, why not?
I can't be mad at it. Again, look, no one's saying he's wrong for taking the money from Arizona. I want to get that clear, everyone. No one's blaming him for taking the money. I'm just saying the dude wanted to really, really win. To me, if the reports are true that Green Bay was interested, and that's home, Wisconsin's home for him, I would say, why not, man? Just go. I mean, again, spending over 10 years of his career in purgatory, that's the Houston Texans organization. You want to go up with a bang. Now, to your point, the NFC West is brutal.
Yeah.
It's a brutally hard division. And any of those teams can end up winning it. You're right about it. You're absolutely right about that. I'm just saying, Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers. That's all I'm saying.
No,
that's all I'm saying.
You're absolutely right. And I would stand on that apple tree box too, right?
Yeah.
Other thing though, if you really want to think about it, and it goes back to the money situation, the best of a worse situation, okay, say he doesn't stay healthy and Arizona's like, okay, well, we're done with you after 1 year. That's $23 million in your pocket.
Right.
He wasn't going anywhere and getting a 1 year, $23 million deal.
No.
It wasn't happening.
Absolutely not. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that.
Even if it's a situation where, you know, he gets hurt, doesn't finish this upcoming season, probably has to retire due to an injury, and I don't want to speak that upon him. I don't, right? I want to see this dude succeed and play as long as he physically can.
Correct.
But if that situation arises, he got a little extra change in his pocket to help him out in that situation.
Right.
And there was no way in the world he was going to beat 1 year 23 anywhere, anyplace else.
Correct. And you're absolutely right about that. No one gave him that kind of cheddar. So again, I'm not mad for taking the money. This agent did a hell of a job.
Yeah. I mean, you know, because that's what it is. He's getting the 23 regardless.
Right.
It's just whether or not he's going to play the 2 years or not.
Correct.
And that's going to be the question that's going to be answered, I guess, by this year, this time next year.
So. True. I agree with that. We covered the NFL angle, and nothing else is going on in the NFL right now. So.
Well, the biggest thing that's going on is that there's murmurings right now that with the cut day coming soon in the NFL for free agents, that there is going to be a landswarm of big names out there, and if you got dough, get in line because you might have your pick of who you might want to go ahead
because the lower salary
go
cap.
after.
The lower salary cap with COVID killed that shit. I mean, so.
Yeah, you can still have a lower salary cap, but if you got a lot of money, even in that cap,
right?
You know, there are a couple of teams that are out there that have dough. One of them being Washington, because of course I have to hear about that every day.
Right.
You know, they may have their pick of what they may want to do, and one of the positions of need that they've been talking about the most, that they feel as though that they can solve during free agency.
Oh, for agency,
is wide receiver. Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know,
Smith-Schuster, maybe.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
So that's the situation. And then of course, there were murmurs. And, you know, I can, but I don't necessarily like to talk about the team here on this show. there was talk about them just having discussions with the Las Vegas Raiders about with Marcus Mariota.
Oh. Okay.
And I guess the Raiders decided to pull out of that, pull out of those talks. But it's not to say that those talks are over. So that could be a potential direction that they head at the QB spot. But yeah, there's several spots that they need to fill. Wide receiver is one of them, and the talk is they're going to spend a lot of money on wide out because they need to help out whatever QB that they're going to have back there, and that pool could be widened a whole lot more starting March 9th.
Yeah, because from what I've gathered, like I got an alert on my cell phone not too long ago that Golden Tate's expected to be cut. And of course, usually Smith-Schuster, I mentioned earlier, he's not going to be resigned in Pittsburgh, not for the money that he was looking for.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be a lot of talent out there because, again, the salary cap was supposed to go over $200 million.
Yeah.
It probably won't even break 190.
No.
So a lot of talented cats are going to be fired.
Yeah.
Because of that, and you know, which is going to be wait for one crazy ass free agency period. Now, one more thing to add to that. I'm glad you brought up the salary cap because I almost forgot about this. Dak Prescott. Word on the street is they're going to franchise his ass again, and he doesn't like that. And so with the rumors going on in Seattle, I don't know if you heard about this. There's rumors that like Russell Wilson put Dallas on the list of teams that like to go to that. He's not requesting a trade. He says he likes being in Seattle, but he would like to play in Dallas. He'd like to play in I think he mentioned New Orleans. And
he mentioned New Orleans, Chicago, and there was another organization as well that I can't think of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, the potential of a signing trade for Dak Prescott has been something that's been discussed for the past couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And first it was Deshaun Watson, and now it's starting to become Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
And I will say this, right? I don't want to see either one of those quarterbacks in the NFC East. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to see is just, the Cowboys just end up being bereft of QB talent, period, right? And of course, you should have known I'm going to work in the word bereft at least once per episode from here on out, right?
Ding.
But that's what I'm waiting on, right? So yeah, matter of fact, people, from here on out, let's play the drinking game with the word bereft. Every time you hear me say bereft on the show, have a shot. But still, the thing is, I want to see them not have any talent whatsoever at the QB spot.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that this is going, like I said before, I've seen this movie before, starring one Kirk Cousins. And the way the movie goes is, okay, everyone thinks everything's fine. The monster shows up. The monster haunts the kids, kills a couple of the kids, and then someone figures out, how to kill the monster, which is basically either injury or end of the year, and they're going to want more money. In this case, as it pertains to Dak Prescott. And then the monster ends up dying, or in this case, the monster ends up leaving the organization as a free agent. Mm-hmm. So, that being said, Dallas, whatever you do, as long as you don't do the sign and trade, I'm happy with it. And the fact that they're already talking about doing a second franchise tag on him,
it's going to piss him off even more. That's going to piss him off even more. He may not show up. He may not show up. He may not sign a tender.
Which would make it that situation that much more interesting.
Yeah.
So, either way, as long as it ain't nobody back there that can play, I'm fine with it. and I will go ahead and gladly say I would prefer Dak over Russell Wilson and
Deshaun
Watson. Yeah, it's not taking anything away from Dak because Dak can play. And he plays extremely well. And I don't know exactly how much better anyone of those QBs will be if they don't get any O-line help. But either way, it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
Well said. Let's just go to the NBA right quick, man. We're heading into the All-Star break. You got a lot of surprises, brother. I mean, we expected the Brooklyn Nets to be good. I think they'll pick up Gel so quickly on the fly the way they are. They're only half game out of first place in the Eastern Conference. And which is scary for the rest of the league because they're doing this while they're trying to figure this shit out on the fly. They won 9 out of the last 10. They're beating the hell out of Houston as we speak right now.
Yeah.
So make that 10 out of the next 11.
Yeah.
So they're going to. So basically, if Philadelphia loses at home to Utah, Brooklyn's going to be the best team overall in the East. And that's with, again, losing the depth for the James Harden trade and having to work in those three personalities, those three scorers, and Harden, KD, and Kyrie Irving. And they've established their own roles. James Harden's the point guard. Kyrie's the shooting guard, which he's better off as shooting guard. He's nothing but a two masquerading as a point.
Yeah.
And KD, who doesn't need the ball. He could get his own shot. So KD's out right now with an injury until like the end of he's rested until the end of All-Star break. And Brooklyn's hot the way they are right now. To quote Luke Cage, something Christmas. I forgot what the first boy said before Christmas, but sweet Christmas, Christmas, yeah.
Sweet Christmas, yes.
Yeah. So,
yeah, that's the best way to explain this entire situation, right?
Yeah.
Well, we knew that they were going to be talented, but we didn't know about James Harden, right? Until within the first month of the season, and then once that deal was made, there was questions, and I always find it funny. People always say, "Oh my God, is there going to be enough basketballs around in order to shoot?" When has that ever worked? When has that ever not been the case?
Yeah,
dude. Whenever you get enough shooters on your squad, it always works out in the NBA, especially recently. The way that the game is played now with with spread offenses,
and
yes, it's going
positionless
to be enough
basketball.
balls.
Yeah,
yes.
positionless basketball. That's what it is.
It's going to be enough basketballs to go around. And you're talking about a team that has two guys that not only are willing to score, they're willing to pass the ball as well. And Kevin Durant and James Harden. Dude, it's going to be enough basketballs. I hate that. I hate it when, oh my God, is there ever going to be? Yes. The answer is yes. So before you even ask anybody, yes, the answer is yes. Yeah. And can you name a situation where that has not been the case?
Nah.
No one can.
No.
Everyone's always great in theory. Oh my God, they take so many shots.
Oh, right, there you go.
Yes, they'll figure it out, dude.
They'll figure it out.
You know. So and it is translated into them being a half game out currently right now out of first place. And like you said, if they win and Philly loses, then they take over first place. And this is with them dealing not only with a new head coach, not only with trading away a lot of their depth.
A first-year head coach, Steve Nash.
First-year head coach.
Yeah.
First year, period. Not just first year with the organization.
Right.
So you're talking about that, and you're talking about getting rid of your depth. You're also talking about like people always like this. Well, not people like to, because it's exactly what happened. You're dealing with three superstars on the same team that like to score, and they have to mesh well and figure out what they're going to do together and how they're going to figure this thing out, and then deal with injuries on top of that. Yeah, they had to find their way, and they're finding their way pretty well.
Let me ask you this. Do you think Brooklyn, if they come out the East, I don't see any team stopping them. Maybe Philly, because they got Joel Embiid, and they can like exploit that size advantage that they have. It's particularly in the middle. Do you think? I think. Well, I won't ask. I'll say it. I think they have a great shot of winning it all. They're better. They swept the Clippers. They beat down the Lakers. Yeah. Without KD. I like this squad. This is scary. This is to me, this is Giannis's worst nightmare when he resigned with the Bucks. Because now he had a shot with when Milwaukee was the best squad in the East and the league record-wise. And they couldn't get over the hump. Yeah. More embarrassingly, last season in the bubble when Miami just punked them as a 5th seed. So to me, I mean, that's bad news for Giannis, because that one was closest shot with Brooklyn balling right now, and Philly having with under Doc Rivers balling. But anyway, I digress there. So really, if it's not Philly stopping them, no one's going to stop Brooklyn in like in the East right now. So we could just, I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to steal a line from the late Dennis Green. I'm just going to crown the asses. Might as well crown the asses. I mean, the only thing that can stop Brooklyn right now is Brooklyn. Well, and there's a way to. Who knows how Kyrie's going to act? I mean, is Kyrie going to be on his best behavior all season? You know, he's just mercurial as hell. So yeah, that's another big word. But the point is that thing that you just never know with that cat, and you never know with injuries being the ultimate equalizer anyway. So again, only team that can stop Brooklyn right now is Brooklyn, and that's just being real. So it's going to be interesting, but that's how I see it. Also, right quick, I'll be remiss if I didn't throw in my New York Knicks. We're the 5th seed right now. What? We're the 5th seed. Yo, for those of you who say that coaching doesn't matter, I call Bo the dash on that. Look what Tom Thibodeau is doing in New York right now. Are they mediocre? Yes, but you know what? I've been so long suffering for a long time. Knicks fans been so long suffering for a long time. We'll take 500. Hell,
I'm about to say 500 ain't necessarily mediocre. And yeah, 500 to get to the playoffs.
Yes.
Take it.
Yes.
Take
and
it.
You should have seen, I don't know if you saw a clip of those of my fellow Knicks fans after we beat somebody in the Garden to get to 17-17. We were like dancing in the streets, man. And when we blew out Detroit to get to a game over 500 for the first time in forever, you couldn't tell me nothing. You thought we'd gone to the finals. How happy I was. We're in the 5th seed right now. We're playing well. We're one of the best defensive teams in the league. Again, that goes to Tom Thibodeau. And there's a culture of accountability that's been lacking there for the past few seasons. And I'm glad that Thibodeau always wanted to coach the team ever since he got fired from Minnesota. Mm-hmm. So even after he left Chicago. So he's getting his wish. The ball, I just hope and pray that Tom Thibodeau does not burn those cats out because he burns hot. He's very intense. He coaches every game like it's a game 7 of the NBA Finals. So let's just hope that the culture continues and everything else. And one last surprise out of the Eastern Conference, man. How about those Charlotte Hornets? They're in the 8th spot right now. Mm-hmm. LaMelo, who could have seen LaMelo Ball coming? He's leading all rookies with scorers, 15.7 points a game ahead of the number 1 overall pick, Anthony Edwards, who's also balling. Mm-hmm. He's leading the rookies also in assists.
Yeah.
So, and this is, remember when people were worried about his ability to shoot the basketball. He's shooting almost 40% from 3. And get to the line. He's over 80% free throw shooter.
Everyone always likes to talk about, I mean, I get it because that's the only thing that the only material that we can go off of is based upon what we saw of him prior to him coming to the NBA, right?
Right.
And that was, of course, what he was doing down in Australia. He wasn't shooting well when he was there.
No,
he was, right? But the thing was, he's also, well, not the thing was, the thing is, he's a fantastic distributor of the basketball. And that's something that, you know, with the talent that they have in Charlotte, especially with the addition of Gordon Hayward.
Right. That was huge.
Huge, right?
I clowned that signing at first, but that's turned out to work out well for Charlotte.
It has, right? But I also say this, you know, you got the likes of the Indiana Pacers that aren't playing up to snuff right now.
Miami as well.
Orlando, who wasn't as good as they were, or who was a playoff team last year,
right?
Is now next to last in the East right now. Miami and Toronto aren't playing as well as everyone would have expected them to do so. But all Charlotte is doing is taking advantage of the situation, right? Washington is another team not playing as good as people thought they would with the addition of Russell Westbrook. So they're just taking advantage of the situation, and all you can do is just do that, right? And they're in the spot, they're in the AC right now. Clearly within the playoff hunt, because of course they're taking 10 teams. So yeah, they're in the driver's spot right now to go ahead and host one of those games, one of those playing games. And it'll be interesting to see who they have to face and how that matchup would end up going. But yeah, as of right now, Charlotte is actually playing a lot better than what Charlotte's balling right now. But they've always had young talent. It was about getting them maybe a piece or two more and getting them a little bit more focused.
They needed a playmaker.
Yeah.
They were solely needed a playmaker, and Scary Terry Rozier was hurt last year. So they needed a playmaker. So enter LaMelo. As soon as it fell to the number 3 overall pick, to the 3rd pick to Charlotte, I was like, if Michael Jordan does not pull that trigger, he's a bigger idiot than I thought. But the thing is, what's huge for Charlotte is this. The Gordon Hayward free agency signing is an anomaly in the sense that Charlotte, as we both know, is not a big, major market. And so a lot of free agents probably don't want a ball in Charlotte. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to get Gordon Hayward, who's turned to the Utah Jazz version of Gordon Hayward.
Yeah.
You know, and of course, Scary Terry doing his thing like he was doing in Boston as a 6th man. And they just needed that. Again, they have solid players, but they needed a playmaker. And this so happens this young man, LaMelo, has pizzazz. He has flash. He has flair.
He is slowly becoming a face of the league.
Yes.
Right?
As a rookie.
He's as a rookie, and he is doing what his daddy has wanted ever since his older brother came into the league with the Lakers, right?
Yeah.
He wanted one of his sons to be the face. He probably had hopes of all 3 of his sons being the face of the league. But yeah, it's really working out with the youngest ball brother right now, and he's becoming a huge rookie delight there in the Queen City. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if this team can keep pace like that and fend off some of these other teams that are in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th spots looking to fight to get into playoff positioning with them as well, to see if they can fend them off, especially those that are in their division like the Washington Wizards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So they got, I mean, it's a mediocre division, but I mean, someone has to win it. And, you know,
someone has to win it.
Miami's on a winning streak right now. Miami's on a winning streak right now, so you got to keep an eye on them. Mm-hmm. They're firm in the playoff picture right now. But, I mean, to again, to your point, they're playing well. You can't help what everyone else is doing. Just play your style, play your game, and, hey, good for Charlotte. And, you know, I think they're on to something now. They got a decent coach, and John Borrego, I think his last name, who comes from the San Antonio Spurs organization.
Mm-hmm.
So he has that stability there. I think Mitch Kupchak is still the GM in Charlotte.
Okay.
So he's been doing a decent job picking up players and acquiring players, like he did as a member of the Lakers. So in the Lakers front office. So they got something good in Charlotte. Just hope that Michael Jordan doesn't step in the way and screw it up. So let it be.
I have to ask though, because I'm not one to necessarily follow that organization heavily. Has Mike ever gotten in the way before?
Well, let's put it this way. Remember in I call it the Frank Kaminsky draft. Frank Kaminsky draft.
Mm-hmm.
Now that draft, Danny Ainge wanted to move up to select I forget his name. He played at Duke. But anyway, he plays in Miami now.
Okay.
He wanted to, not only did he want Charlotte's position to pick him, but he wanted to give Charlotte, remember those bevy of first round draft picks he had, thanks for him fleecing Brooklyn?
Yeah.
He was going to give them all to Charlotte for the right to move up to get this
Mike
kid.
Said no.
And Mike said no to that. He wanted Frank Kaminsky. Well, he wanted Frank Kaminsky so bad. Yeah, I know. And Frank Kaminsky now is in Phoenix. We'll talk about them momentarily, but yeah.
But
he wanted Frank Kaminsky. He turned down several first-round draft picks for Frank Kaminsky. So that's an example.
Okay, all right, yeah, because I mean he had a history, of course, getting in the way when he was here in DC, and I was trying to figure out whether or not he had done the same in Charlotte because I haven't seen any examples. But yeah, that is a huge example. But that's one of course, with the amount of picks that they could have had potentially that game changer. But yeah.
Sure. So speaking of Phoenix, let's go to the Western Conference. Now, you know, the LA's playing well. Both LA teams are playing well. The West is just deep, man. It's stupid deep. It's just stupid deep right now. But I got to give two teams shout outs, man. The Utah Jazz. They are this is the thing, man. People can't appreciate these guys. They're in the top 3 in both offense and defense. Let me say it again. They're in the top 3 in both offense and defense. I think they're leading the league in rebounding as well. And I know it's the regular season, but they beat the dog piss out of the Lakers a few nights ago, you know, on the nationally televised games. That was a statement. That was a statement game. And so I'll just say this for Utah, man. I think you said this last week. It's about what are you going to do in the playoffs when you got a team staring at you for at least 4 games, possible 7.
Yeah.
Game plan and matching up against you. So they haven't gotten over the hump truly the last few years. I mean, sure, they've advanced past the first round, but it seems that the ceiling goes to the quarterfinals, to the semifinals, conference semifinals. And, you know, just like last year, I think no, it was last year they didn't make out of the first round because they lost to Denver, which was a great series. But the seasons before that, they stopped at the second round of the Western Conference playoffs. But it's going to be interesting because if I look at it right now, man, I look at the Lakers and the Clippers have a chance to take out Utah. Most of the Clippers because they have more firepower. I look at the San Antonio Spurs who talk about a surprise. they're playing very well right now. They're in the fifth spot right now. Portland's playing
Mm-hmm.
better, and we figured Golden State would be better.
Yeah.
So they're in the eighth spot, like we figured that they would be. But I gotta give it up to the Phoenix Suns, man. I mean, remember I told you, as soon as they landed Chris Paul, I'm like, yo, they're gonna be much improved. I didn't know they were gonna be this much improved. I would be lying to you if I told you to be like the second spot in the West improved.
You know what? I knew that they were top 4, right? I didn't realize that they were number 2 either,
right,
until just now. Because I knew that the Lakers were ahead of them, but I also remember the Lakers losing to them last night as well.
Mm-hmm.
With that questionable ejection of one Devin Booker in the second quarter as well. But yeah, this is a team, and every time we talk about them, I'm gonna keep pointing out, this is a team that since going into the bubble last year is 31-11.
Yep.
31-11.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to think about that. That's an insane turnaround for this organization who was battling to get into the 9th spot last season. So yeah, they made some huge gains, but
mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that it was going to be this huge. And big ups to the leadership of Chris Paul.
Yes.
And to Devin Booker, who oddly enough was about to be a all-star snub, if not due to injury.
Right.
I was wondering how they were going to explain that off, but I still believe he should have made it in, other than besides his teammate Chris Paul into the All-Star game. But it is what it is. When you're a name, and it doesn't help. Well, it doesn't hurt that you're the State Farm guy too, right? So it is what it is. And
like
probably
a good neighbor, State Farm is there. We're in the red too. So
there you go. Did you go over there? What's your boy? Drake from State Farm.
Yeah, the black Jake.
You're Drake. You're Drake. You're Drake.
Oh, Drake. Well, Drake's a little bit too yellow for me, but there you go. Or I should say beige. Excuse me, he's too beige for me. There you go.
But yeah, so you have those that known Chris is like what, a 7-time All-Star as well now. Yeah. Add in the notoriety from the commercials, and he's probably got several votes from his buddies out there in Durham, North Carolina too. Sure. That probably voted for him. So yeah, but it is what it is. I'm just glad that Devin's finally got an opportunity to be in an All-Star.
Well, if you think about Chris Paul, let's go back to Chris Paul for a minute, right quick. Everywhere he's gone, he's won. When he got drafted by the New Orleans Hornets, back when the Hornets were in New Orleans, he won. They competed. They took San Antonio to the Game 7. I think one of the years that San Antonio won it all. They took it to Game 7. I think in the semifinals. In the Western Conference. Mm-hmm. They played well. They played well that series, the entire series. He won big as a member of the Clippers, made him relevant. Fast forward, they traded him to Houston. He was an injury away from taking that team to the finals. Mm-hmm. Remember against Golden State when he got hurt in game 5 or game 6? Game 5.
I want to say it was game 5.
When he hurt his hamstring, they were up 3 games to 2. So I think that, to me, they were better than Golden State that year. But that's what happened. I still believe that was Houston's title to win. That was Houston's title to lose that season. Then he goes down, traded again to OKC. What did OKC do? They won. They won.
In a situation where no one expected them to too.
Exactly.
That's what makes it even better. Is the fact that they were looked down upon and still were capable of playing well. Yeah, heavily. I think their odds of them, was it making the playoffs or was it making the NBA Finals was 0.08 or something like that?
Yeah.
Whatever it was something insane. And they made the playoffs and were competitive even in that series against Houston. Mm-hmm. So you're right. He does. It just happened to be that team was very young and they made a lot of young boy mistakes. This Phoenix team isn't as young and they're slightly more talented, especially behind Devin Booker. So what else did you expect them to do other than play well? But I didn't think they were going to play like this.
Right. And again, we both said it. Devin Booker, if he takes the leadership Chris Paul and learns,
Mm-hmm.
he'd be great because he was the 2 masquerading as a point all those years.
Yeah.
Now you got a true point guard of Chris Paul, and now it frees Devin Booker to do his thing off the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And that's helping him a lot. And as well as DeAndre Ayton.
DeAndre Ayton, yes, sir.
He's improved a lot. Mm-hmm. So again, with the coaching of what's his name? The coach
Monty Williams.
Under the coach of Monty Williams, another guard. Mm-hmm. So you got all those things working together in Phoenix. It's no surprise now, if you break everything down like that to see them in second place in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
And they're playing well. They're not slowing down. So it's going to be fun when the playoffs start, man. It's going to be fun. That's all I got.
It will be, right? But the thing is this, right?
Yeah.
As much as I enjoy the young starts, well, they're not even young starts. They're teams that are getting better.
Yeah.
Young teams that are getting better in Utah, Phoenix, Denver. The Lakers are just resting. Let's be real. Mm-hmm. They're resting. Same thing with Brooklyn, right? And Brooklyn isn't necessarily young, but this is a whole turnaround. It's a turnaround for an organization that was looking to make moves, and they made huge moves. But the Lakers are the Lakers. And until someone has really given me a reason to believe otherwise with LA, mm-hmm. I'm leaning on them. Note, I'm not calling them the defending champions. Defending champions to me only exist in in professional boxing, MMA, and professional wrestling. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, you're the champion of the previous season, which is why you're crowned at the end of that year. Mm-hmm. You don't walk into that following year as a champion because in situations where a defending champion, you can lose that championship whenever you lose, right? And that doesn't happen in other sports. But I digress. That's another argument for another time. But as I was saying, the Lakers, until someone proves otherwise, and this team, even with them just skating and relaxing, are in third place right now in the West. They're in third place, and they just fell to third place. So this is not like this is a team that's been like struggling while dealing with injuries and dealing with LeBron, who's or at times looked tired and played bad during those tired spots. They're still in third place.
Right.
They're still in third place. So, they're looking like the Spurs right now. Like the Spurs in the tail end of their championship run, where they didn't necessarily need to be first place, not only just in the conference, but in their division. As long as they made the playoffs, and as long as they were capable of hosting for the first 2 rounds, they were going to be fine. And I'm expecting the same thing out of the Lakers now. I really haven't seen anything as impressive as these teams have been. I have not seen anything yet to make me think that the Lakers are not going to be competitive enough to win the conference title for another year.
We know it's going to be fun, man. We're going to close the thing out on this.
Mm-hmm.
If Phoenix stays in the 2 spot, the way things are holding up right now, if they hold the same, the way out, you talking about a possible Phoenix Suns, LA Lakers conference semifinal.
Yeah.
2 versus the 3 seed.
Yeah.
And possibly Utah versus the Clippers as a 1 to 4 seed.
Yeah.
That's going to be stupid. That's going to be stupid, man. That's going to be stupid.
The 2 brothers out of LA that are veteran laced, that are looking to go ahead and, well, with the Lakers either win another title or with the Clippers finally winning one. And then you have the 2 youngins in Phoenix and in Utah that are looking to see if they can go ahead and take that next step to show the world that they're real contenders.
Right. So it's going to be interesting to be. It's going to be very, very interesting. So it should be fun. So we go from the interesting to college basketball. History we hadn't heard.
You sound so disappointing when you say it, right?
Dude. And the thing is, what hurts is I actually normally like this guy and respect the job that he's done over the years. And this guy is Greg McDermott, Creighton's men's basketball coach, head basketball coach. He's been he's been a mainstay for the past several seasons. Almost always has his team in the NCAA tournament. does a great job. Has a son named Doug, who I get confused with his dad from time to time, but he plays in the NBA. He's a damn good NBA player, good 3-point shooter. So hearing what he said really surprised and disappointed me at the same time. So basically, in case people don't know, Greg McDermott issued an apology for using racially insensitive comments to the men's basketball team. So basically, he put out a statement after losing to Xavier last week, and this is quote. It's a quick quote. I'll read it. He said, "On February 27th, after an emotionally tough loss on the road, I addressed our student athletes and staff in the post-game locker room and used a terribly inappropriate analogy and making a point about staying together as a team despite the loss. Specifically, I said, quote, guys, we've got to stick together. We need both feet in. I need everybody to stay on the plantation. I can't have anybody leave the plantation." End of freaking quote. Now, look, I get that I'm pretty sure he didn't have any malicious intent of saying that. He wanted his guys to stay together. But here's a rule of thumb I tell my white brothers and sisters out there who look at this podcast right now. This is some free advice from a black guy and this other black guy to you. There are some words you should never, ever say in the presence of other black people. One is the N word, that's pretty obvious. And the second one is plantation. You never, ever use the word plantation when addressing the room for the black people. Now, granted, I know that Creighton is pretty diverse on this team. They have a lot of white kids who can ball. I get that. But you still got a lot of black kids on the team. You got 2 black assistants on your team, one of which is the head of the diversity committee, I think, on the team or at the school. So, having all that there, I mean, it's you just don't do that. I just can't. I don't understand why people just mess up every single time. I mean, the president had to put out a statement saying that that we don't condone this. The statement. We'll take a look at it internally. And that assistant coach I mentioned, the brother, Terrence Richard, he's like Coaches for Action. That's the name of the organization I'm trying to think of. It's a Big East group that tries to educate and bring awareness to players about social injustices. So he said he was deeply hurt by it. Now he still supports McDermott, but you said he was deeply hurt. That's a quote from what he said. So he pledged to still help McDermott to turn the season. Not to say they turn the season around for Creighton. Creighton's still good, but man, what a shit show that's turning out to be right now. I mean, and I'm sure Creighton University doesn't need this. I'm sure his basketball team doesn't need this. I mean, the Big East is a very competitive conference as it is. So it's crazy. So I just, again, did he mean anything bad by it? I don't think he did. But still, does that change the fact that he said something that he shouldn't have said? No. Again, there's some words, white brothers and sisters, that you should not say in the presence of black people or addressing black people. The N word's one. The other one is plantation. Never, ever, 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 ever use the word plantation when addressing black folks.
Here, I'll say this. Matter of fact, I'll take it a step further. Right? So, of course, don't say the N word. In any terms that are deemed racially insensitive or racial epithets, right? None of them, right? Or anything dealing with slavery. Anything.
Any damn thing.
Plantation.
Yeah.
Whips. Shackles. Ships. We're dicey on boats. We're real dicey on boats, right?
Hanging.
Lynching.
Yeah.
Any of that, you might not want to use that, right? And once again, I understand what his point was supposed to be in terms of getting his team to unite and hold position and fight. I get it. But the use of the word plantation, to me, I mean, not just to me, to a lot of people, of course, it was highly offensive. But to me, it just seems as though that word was already in deck in his mind, right? He may not normally use it on a regular basis. And I'm not saying that McDermott is racist whatsoever.
I don't think he is. I don't think he is either.
And I don't either, right?
Yeah, I don't think he is.
It's just sad, not sad. It just is that word is in deck in his mind, and that thought process is there. He just knows when to and when not to use it. You know, I can't control what he does in his own personal time. I can't control how he talks to his buddies. I can't control how he talks to his friends. I can't control how he talks, period. Right. My hope is that, you know, at least don't be offensive in public.
Right.
I'll say that, right? Because I know that
that's not we have to say it that way, but yeah, it's the truth.
It is. I mean, let's be real here. I'm not going to sit here and try to be PC and say that everybody needs to talk a particular way. No one needs to make particular types of jokes. People shouldn't say certain things about certain types. No, that's not me, because that's not how I live my life, right? I know I can be foul, so I'm not going to sit here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and say that everyone else shouldn't be, when I know I'm living a foul lifestyle based upon some of the stuff that I say, right? And I'm not saying that I'm sitting here being completely offensive, and I'm not coming from a place of hate, right? Yeah. Just like I don't believe that Greg McDermott is necessarily coming from a place of hate.
Correct.
It just happens to be, unfortunately, when you have a word on deck like that, you got to be able to train yourself to be like, yo, I can't use that word here. I can't use that word there. And that was just one of those situations, unfortunately, where you just can't do it. You really can't do it.
You can't do it.
No,
like Mike Singletary once said, you can't do it.
Can't do it. Yeah. Right. and like I said before, man, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm in the pulpit and say that no.
Remember that golfer, speaking of words that you don't use. Remember that golfer for that golf magazine used that someone asked a question, how do you stop Tiger Woods when Tiger was still in his prime?
Yeah.
When she said, well, you might as well lynch him, or something to the effect of lynching.
Yeah.
And how much trouble she got in for that?
Yeah.
Again, there's some shit you just do not say when addressing Black people.
I'm gonna put it to you like this, Scott, right? I said that certain words are on deck, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna be a little bit more expansive with that analogy. Some people have words on their lineup, and then you got words that are on deck.
Right.
You want to make sure that Bama ain't on deck, because that means he can come up and bat at any time. If it's in your lineup, it's in your lineup. It is what it is. Sometimes you just got bad hitters in your lineup. Yeah. You just don't want that bad hitter to come up to bat.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened in this situation. Yes. You know, it just happened to be that, unfortunately, McDermott's bad hitter came up to bat when he said plantation. Same thing with this particular golfer that said it when he said lynching. Horrible analogy. Horrible joke to use. It's just a horrible joke to use, dude. And jokes like that, in my personal opinion, once again, I'm not saying that I don't get blue with my jokes, but God, when you're talking about the killing of a race, especially in a way that in all cases were just because of their skin color, not because of them doing anything particularly wrong. Yeah, you might not want to use that to try to be funny.
Yeah, and that's I mean, yeah, you just don't do that shit. You just don't do it.
That's like me. That's like me making a Holocaust joke, dude. Nah.
No, you don't.
Nah.
Right.
Nah.
Right.
As much as I joke around with certain things, and as much as I will tiptoe that line about certain things, and that could be deemed as being insensitive, yo, I'll never make a Holocaust joke, dude.
Right. And stuff like that.
That's not my place.
And in disabilities, you try not to make jokes to disparage disabilities, people suffering from disabilities. We've done that. I've done that in the past.
I won't do sickness. I won't do illness, right?
Yeah.
But you talk about disabilities, I'll say this, right? I know I'm tiptoeing a line on your show, Scott. I know. My thing is,
put a quick disclaimer.
Yeah, this is like my man like I was just saying to you last week, what's the wrestler's name? I'm mad that I'm zoning out on his name this quick. God, but yeah, it is a slight disclaimer. Yeah, I might say something. The words of Dwayne Nash do not represent those of
the
Clown
clown
times.
Yes, of the clown hour.
So,
yes, yes.
I might tiptoe and dance around, and I might say certain things that may be a little bit offensive. But two things, right? One, if anything, I may say something that may expose the plight of someone's condition, right?
Mm-hmm.
And two, it'll be with someone it'll be about someone that I know and care about, and they know that I'm only joking with them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to say anything to demean them or belittle them or anything.
Sure.
You know, we're going back and forth. Hey, the same way people pick on my fatness. Hey, yes, it is what it is. I'm fat. I know. I got it. You know, I mean, you can't say much about this face because, you know, face. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. It's just, you know, it's ladies' choice. You know, but yeah, man, I just know whatever type of jokes I'm going to make with my boys, I'm not going to make those type of jokes out in public. And unfortunately, that's one of those situations where McDermott, of course, was comfortable with his team and his coaching staff and said something that just crossed the line.
Well, let's just close the show on something positive, shall we?
Yes. Before I stuck my foot in my mouth.
There you go. And just pulling the Greg McDermott and in reverse. Similar to what we did for Black History Month for the entire month of February, we're going to do something to honor Women's History Month throughout the month of March. So similar to what we did for Black History Month for the listeners out there, where we talked about, I don't want to say obscure, but little known Black history moments in sports, aside from what everybody knows. The Jesse Owenses, the Jackie Robinsons, Hank Aaron's, so on and so forth, right? So we're going to do something similar for Women's History Month. So, which means that we're going to cover some that a lot of people may not know about, right? So people know of Billie Jean King. People know about Martina Navratilova and other women who broke down barriers successfully that that folks know about. But to be honest, not many people know about many women who do so. Outside of maybe Danica Patrick in NASCAR, and in Indy racing before that. So those are things people know, the general public knows. So we're going to break down share some awesome women's history moments in sports that hopefully people would appreciate. So I'm gonna go first. We're gonna do 2 weeks, similar to what we did last month. So I'm gonna start with something that some people may know about, and that is Babe Didrikson. So who is Babe Didrikson, you might ask? Well, basically, let me put it this way. Before Bo Jackson, there was Babe Didrikson. So basically, she was born in 1911. She was a pioneer in women's sports. She set multiple world records, but how she was like Bo Jackson, she excelled, and I'm reading the list here: basketball, baseball, swimming, diving, golf, volleyball, bowling, and track, to name a few. Right? So just to name a few. She founded she was a founding member of the LGPA, believe it or not. And so, because they didn't have anything similar to what the men have, obviously with the PGA. But check this out, though. She won 2 Olympic gold medals in track and field, right? She actually won big in golf. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm looking at this here, she won 82 total tournaments in her career.
Wow.
And golf was considered her weak sport. Right? It didn't come natural to her. She had to really practice until it said she practiced so much her hand was bleeding and blistered. But she won 82 total tournaments. At one point, winning 14 in a row. And like I said earlier, when I alluded to the LPGA, she was on the 13 founding members in 1950, and would go on to win 3 U.S. Women's Opens and 10 total LPGA tournaments. So that is Babe Didrikson. And I'm sure there's a lot more out there, but I'm just giving y'all the skinny on that. And the next person I want to talk about, which many people may not know about, is Alice Coachman. So who is Alice Coachman? She in 1948 became the first African-American woman to win an Olympic medal. Yes. So she was born in Albany, Georgia, one of 10 children in 1923. So you can imagine how that went. She was not allowed to practice on the same field as whites, so she trained in bare feet on dirt tracks.
Wow.
Barefoot on dirt tracks. That's how she trained. Turning ropes and sticks into high jumps. So basically, and one more thing, well, I should say another thing is, with the HBCU connection, she's a graduate of Tuskegee Institute, as it was known back then. And so from 1939 to 1948, she was wildly successful in track and field. She won the Amateur Athletic Union, AAU, high jump championships 10 straight times. And the 50-yard dash 5 straight times. Again, this is from a woman who had to train barefoot on dirt tracks, right? And so finally, she was able to compete in the Olympics in World War II. Following World War II, she competed in the high jump. She cleared 5 feet 6 1/8 inches on the first try. And so basically, like, she won the gold in the high jump because the other person failed to clear the lower height. So that's how she won that gold medal. So that's how she became the first African-American woman in track and field. And this one more thing I would say is this. Her story is a little bittersweet because in 1940 and 1944, the Summer Olympics were canceled due to World War II, which meant that she couldn't compete in her prime. Those were her prime years. So remember, she won the gold medal in 1948. She was said to be in her prime during those earlier years.
Yeah.
So people didn't get to see Coachman in action in her prime. And so basically, with the Olympics, as people would know, some people may know, weren't nationally televised until 1960. And so guess who was the star during that time? One Wilma Rudolph. And so it was said that Coachman was resentful in the later years because of that. So she was robbed of those adulations. But anyway, just to bring it back, that's Alice Coachman, the first African-American woman to medal in the Olympics. Those are my two.
Okay. So I'm going to follow a similar pattern as you, where we talk about someone that some people may know about, and then bring up someone that you may not know about. But of course, as I always have to do, being, of course, the creator of the Yard HBCU Sports, I have to talk about those that have connections with HBCUs.
Yes.
First and foremost, I'm going to start with the great C. Vivian Stringer. Of course, a lot of you may know about C. Vivian Stringer during her times at Iowa and currently at Rutgers as the women's head basketball coach at both institutions. But Ms. Stringer started out at an HBCU at Cheney State. Matter of fact, the first 10 years of her career from 1972 to 1983, first 11 years, of her career, she spent at Cheney State before moving on to Iowa and going on to currently at Rutgers. And of course, for those who are familiar, she's won multiple conference championships at all 3 institutions. Matter of fact, she is the first head coach on a Division I level that has led 3 teams to a Final Four. And she has an all-time record of 1,041 wins and 421 losses. So she has a well over a 70% win percentage as a head coach. Of course, she's been named Coach of the Year several times, Conference Coach of the Year, has won multiple conference tournaments, conference championships, and has gone on to be a mentor to other Black women head coaches, and probably was a mentor to the next head coach I'm about to talk about, one Patricia Cage Gibbs. Patricia Gibbs, who graduated from Grambling, actually spent, over 30 years coaching solely at HBCUs, where she coached at Grambling, Hampton, and North Carolina A&T during her 30-plus year career. She has 518 total wins in her career. She's the most winningest women's head coach that has done it solely at HBCUs. Multi-time conference champion, of course, in the MEAC and at the SWAC with all three programs. And she is the first women's basketball coach to go undefeated in the SWAC and was named to the SWAC Hall of Fame in 2018, if memory serves me correctly. And in 2012, she became the 51st NCAA head coach to join the 500 wins club. So Patricia Cage Gibbs and C. Vivian Stringer are my two women that I wish to honor this week during Women's History Month.
Awesome. Totally awesome. So we're kicking off Women's History Month with a bang, if you will. So that's cool. So now we're entering our famous or infamous random shit segment. So we get to talk about whatever that pops in our heads. I can't think of anything right now. Do you have any random shit to share with the crowd?
Oh, of course, man.
Of course you do.
Yeah, you know, with spring football comes spring problems.
Yes,
right? Before I even get to that, you know, shouts out to Xavier's men's basketball and women's basketball, if memory serves me correctly. I think they both won the GCAC being the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. It's the HBCU conference in the NAIA level.
Okay.
Both the men's and women's won basketball championships in the tournaments this past weekend.
Okay.
Also, like I said before, it's the spring football time for the SWAC and what's left of the MEAC. We've had another game for Jackson State canceled because of COVID. They were supposed to face Mississippi Valley State this coming weekend. That's off the books. And then we had a situation where it was announced yesterday that Howard University, which was one of the three remaining MEAC programs to play football this spring, they announced that they won't be having any home football games once again due to COVID.
Wow.
And their home, I'm sorry, they won't be. It's not that they won't have any home games. They won't be playing against South Carolina State. That's what the thing is. Okay. So the ruling is more so due to the restrictions of the district to not have visitors. Well, the ruling is not to have visitors, or they're supposed to be tested 72 hours before coming into Washington, D.C. If you come from a state where there's more than 10 cases per 10,000 people within your state. And South Carolina is right there on that borderline of being slightly over that 10 mark. As a matter of fact, they're the only state within the MEAC that meets that requirement. With that said, that means South Carolina State, who was supposed to come into town this weekend, and they were supposed to go and face them, I think, in April. Both games have been canceled. Now, my question to that is, why is that the case when all you have to do is be tested 72 hours before playing in the district? I don't get it. And why didn't they think about that before planning these games? Right. That's another question that I have. Right. But I digress. That just means that Howard, they lose 2 games. South Carolina State loses 1. And the reason why I said they lose 1 is because they got another team to fill that void this weekend with Alabama A&M, who's also going to be out of a game this weekend. They're going to play South Carolina State this weekend.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's cool. So they were capable of getting MEAC and SWAC situation this weekend coming up. So yeah, they got a home-to-home situation for, if memory serves me, for this week coming, and I think again in the fall. So I have to see exactly when that second game is going to be exactly.
Now, is A&T playing football this year?
They are not.
I ain't think. Okay, because I ain't seen the games stuck on the docket.
Yeah, and the reason why it was announced that they're not going to do it, and then I completely understand. With God, who was it that pulled out before they did? I remember. I can't remember who pulled out before North Carolina A&T pulled out, but when it was reduced to 5 teams, I think it was Central. North Carolina Central pulled out. A&T said that they matter of fact, in Norfolk State as well, when they pulled out, that's when A&T said that we're not going to risk our players to play in games
right.
where they could potentially be hurt and probably ruin an aspect of their career, if not their entire career,
right,
just to play in 4 games. And in a situation where they will be competing for a pseudo championship, maybe or maybe not make the playoffs, and then mess up their situation when they move on to the Big South. So the athletic director at A&T didn't deem it necessary to risk those players in that situation. And I completely agree with them, just to play 4 or 5 games just because I'm selfish and want to see them play. So what? I don't care. Let them sit out, please,
right.
because I want to see them healthy in the fall.
Right.
And then of course we had a coach leave us in the MEAC, in Latrell Scott, who was the former head coach at Virginia State, moved on to Norfolk State. He's decided to move on and be an assistant over at East Carolina. So congratulations with his new position, but it's unfortunate to see him leave the program, a program that I thought was on the come up in terms of having young talent on that roster.
Sure. So there you go. So I guess that's the end of our random shit segment. So anyway, I had a brain fart there. I guess we can wrap it up. So thank y'all for tuning in to the Klown Hour podcast. Please check us out every Thursday. We upload the episodes every Thursday onto our YouTube channel, the Klown Times YouTube channel. Please subscribe once again. Also check out D Nash on the Yards at HBCU Sports. Rest of all things HBCU Sports. You see the merch right there. Also Sleazy Radio on Facebook Live every Tuesday night. I forgot to put the emphasis in there. And HBCU, we cover HBCU Sports on herosports.com. Check his work out there as well. And as for your boy, please get the invisible merch. Not wearing the hat tonight on cafepress.com. Again, the address will be in the description. Just search for the Klown Times. You'll find it there as well. So stay safe. Get vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, wear a mask or keep your ass at home. It's that simple.
Please.
Wash your hands. Until next time, be safe. Enjoy the month of March. Peace out.